Hello and welcome to this last session of our second arc of Fearful Symmetries. We will at some point talk about the scheduling of the third and final arc dealing with London. Probably the same sort of gap I assume that we did for this year. But we're going to be taking up last time our characters had an incident in Winchester. Things occurred, and while the group was able to keep Lord Portmore from getting his hands on the ley line point there, uh, no one else was able to get a hold of the ley line point, and Portmore's people, with one exception, were killed. And the Lord of Worms is probably dead, right? Probably. We don't know. And there was an earthquake in southern England, striking at Winchester. So we're going to be taking up with that. We're going to be taking up with the group heading to probably a sort of approach role style, engagement role style, boots on the ground in Hampshire, in at Walton Montjoy, which is Lord Portmore's estate. I have one stupid detail to retrospectively change. I mentioned that these were acorns with the oak. They are in fact beech seed pods rather than acorns, and it is in fact a beech, just for consistency's sake there. And the wand that you have then is a beech wand as well. So that is sort of where we're taking up, with the opportunity to kind of like do a little bit of setup, a little bit of flashback here. Let's look at everybody where they're at. Richard, it looks like you're back in good shape. You want to take some time to recover your magic.
I What magic does everybody else have? Everybody else is lower magic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it looks like we are going to have to return and
Yeah. You got the head.
restore from the
Yeah.
Oxford point.
Okay, so go ahead and reset your magic, and then let's see. Your health was not below 0,
No?
so you may restore your health back to full.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's only
So I
once you hit that sort of 0 and below that you have wounds that take much longer to heal.
keep forgetting this, and I keep being like, "Oh shit, I've lost 9 hit points."
Oh yeah,
Bad news.
no,
No.
it's significantly more forgiving than it appears at first sight. Uh,
I should
uh,
have tried to stab him again.
yeah. Dr. Whitewood, restore your magic. Your health is up to full. Your sanity is where it's at. I think that currently a 4. Uh, uh, Paul, for Wilford, we can restore your stability back up to 12. Your health is fine. Your magic is fine. And same for you, Isabella. So essentially, narratively,
Can I just
yes,
stability
yes,
where it was doesn't change.
stability will recover. I believe. Let me check on that. I believe again, if it's not negative, I think that your stability recovers back up to the top.
Quite a close run thing then.
Yes, you are quite shaken. What do you imagine, just to kind of kick us off, the couple of days, the recovery from coming very close to the edge? What does that look like for Dr. Whitewood?
I think it looks like this. You know, he shaved, he groomed before setting off for Winchester, and you know, calling on Nyarlathotep to take the point, to take the ley line, rather than letting it go to Portmore, causing the worm beneath Winchester to wake, causing an earthquake, causing the deaths of, I would think, hundreds of people, has taken a toll. And I think Arthur is close to the edge.
Yeah.
And just to say, if at the end of this finale, Arthur don't make it, that's okay with me.
I was going to ask.
Because I think Arthur's been through a lot.
I think we're looking at probably a few dozen dead, probably a couple hundred people injured, either modestly or severely at this point, just by the sort of unexpected nature of that, the suddenness, the lack of warning, and so on. And despite the green and pleasant land being solidly built, a lot of the buildings not prepared for such structural challenges. Wilford, you're in a decent shape.
Yeah, I mean, I could assist psychoanalysis. Will that help with sanity, or is that really just with stability?
At this point, given the doctor's sanity level, this would take some more extensive time. Like you would need a couple of weeks to sit down with him to work through that.
Okay.
Yeah. In the field, if his sanity were to break, you might be able to temporarily provide a patch job, but he is brittle.
Yeah, I mean, my skill is only sort of represented by cups of tea and a bit of stiff upper lip. So, yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
And I've used up all my own psychoanalysis.
Yes. Isabella, you're in a decent shape as well. You've recovered.
Yeah, do all of our skills recover or just some of them?
You can, I think I said you could recover 3 points,
Okay,
refresh 3 points worth
cool,
of
cool.
stuff.
Sorry.
And reset your magic back to the top.
Okay.
And same for you, Richard. So what you know is that the Walton Montjoy estate is a large, sprawling estate there in Hampshire. You know that this is where Portmore lives. You know that this is where he has his England Proud group at. There is a small lake in the southern part of the estate. There are several different woodlands around the rest of the estate there, including something that you've heard about is that there is a sacred tree, a beech of some kind that lies on the grounds of the estate. You know that he has some of his fellow magicians who are there and present. You know that he has some people from his organization, if I can put it that way, the Pride, there as well. So I think what I would like to do is perhaps, I think I'm going to make a kind of hold off on an approach roll. But let me start with you, Richard. Like you've got a few days to recover. You know you want to get to Montjoy sooner than later. What's a scene we want to see with you before things move forward? What is it you want to do? Who is it you want to talk to?
I want a scene with must refresh my memory, go through our vast array of NPCs to remind myself.
Okay.
The lady from the Dreamlands. I always get her name wrong on the first.
Yes, I have to scroll down to where she's at. Pascal.
Aldumont, yes. I think because she's staying at Richard's apartment. I think we're as part of our deal, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, having just returned from her homelands, you know, and not as a dreamer or a dreaming, you know, normal person, but in full body, traversing through in ways that I don't think the universe was meant to be, or humans were not meant to do. I think, you know, he's just wrapped in a blanket, you know, like resting, like writing in a journal, you know, and like looking over at her and saying, you know, the ghouls, they travel back and forth between the lands. Have you never thought to use their tunnels? It's an experience I wouldn't repeat, but you might prove it's always there for you, perhaps.
Look at yourself, Richard, and you will know why I have never chosen to travel via that route.
You are the things, the possibilities, the worlds, the truths they whispered to me down there more. I thought I understood, or I glimpsed the great structure of it all, the planes, the ethers, Albion, but seems also very small now. We seem so very small.
We are, but that is all right. It is all right to be small, to see a portion of the world.
Yes.
Did a little more tea. I know that you have a task before you.
Yes. To the death. That seems one thing that remains true across all of this. It all ends in death.
She pauses, and you see her kind of look down and think, and she says, there are many kinds of death.
And he'll lean over and pull out the I think the sword that's pitted with like the blood of the Worm Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this needs cleaning, polishing, mirrored. Thank you, Dumont. I hope you feel that I have fulfilled my end of the bargain with you. I fear that we may not come back from this.
We will see. Dr. Whitewood, let me come to you in sort of keeper order. You have a couple of days spending time at the Oxford Camera Obscura, or just camera, sorry, to regain your magical strength. What do we see of you? Who do we want to see you talking to? What do we want to do?
I think we find Arthur in his room at Crispina's house. And as the camera finds him, we see numerous balled up pieces of paper scattered around the desk in the window where he writes. And we see him scrunch up another one and throw it, miss the bin, and then take a fresh piece of note paper and begin to write. My dear Emily, I can only apologize for everything that has happened over recent months and years. I only ask that you forgive me and believe that what I have done has been to protect you, Miss Grey, and the child I left in your care. I cannot say when or if I will see you again, but please believe that I remain your devoted Arthur. Postscript. The child is important. Keep him safe. And then fold it up, put it in an envelope, walk downstairs, and put it in the hall for posting.
Absolutely. Wilford, you have a couple of days. You recover your strength, that armor that has been gifted to you. What do we see you doing?
I think you'll see Wilfred sat in third class on the train reading a copy of the Daily Worker on his way back to London. And in London, with my sort of London contacts, I would like to seek out members of the Communist Party of Great Britain.
Okay.
I think you can see me speaking in a back room to some people to elicit some assistance against Portmore's fascists. So yeah, I would like to dump all my remaining contact points into the Communist Party of Great Britain.
Okay.
Not to use yet, but I'm spinning it up to hopefully use it to some degree against Portmore. So sat in this dingy back room, clearly cigarettes being passed round, because they only founded the Daily Worker in 1930. So still actually, they still did have some power in the 30s. So yeah, saying that, you know, Portmore, you know, he's aligned with the fascists, and as good Communist Party members, we must do something about this, and trying to elicit some support to leave London and maybe come to Hampshire to assist us when required.
That makes sense. I think it's going to be a mixed bag of folks. There are some people who are, you know, there as trade unionists, but then there are also people who are there out of that philosophical socialism that is a little less active.
I will accept intellectuals. I'll accept anybody. But clearly, I know the intellectual crowd are probably not going to be that useful. Staunch miners probably are what's required, but we'll take what we can get. Yeah, we'll give what we can take.
Absolutely.
That'll be fine.
Isabella, you are muted.
Yeah, I think let's see here. I'm probably on the train too. But not in the third class carriage. I'm unaware of Wilford traveling. I have been down to Suffolk to see Armitage House again. A report in. A very, how do you say?
So your friend did what in Winchester? Explain this to me.
And she sort of says, we were in a battle over one of the points. And he preempted everything that was going on. It called Norrell to take possession. And then there was an earthquake.
Miss Grimaldi. I kind of shuts the book in front of him and he says, we have at Armitage House, we understand that sometimes in battling against these things, we have to use the tools, dangerous tools, summoning things, binding them. We do that with caution and care and open eyes as to the possibility of this causing greater chaos than we will stop. And we know how to put down what we bring up. Now, knowing and being actually able to do it are two different things, but we try, and we do this with responsible care. And in the house, when people overstep their abilities and come back to us broken, we take them out of the field. I say that because what your friend has done, what he has invoked, is something that we would never call the name of. And the fact that he will be willing to gift such a thing with a portion of Albion, that is a dangerous gambit.
I don't know what would call it a gambit.
And he stops and he says, I don't think you should go back to them.
I did not know that he had fallen in. I knew that his sanity was low, and he had not been given sufficient time to pull himself together. Still, this is my responsibility. I was not able to stop him. I did not recognize that he was that far gone.
All right. I have one more question for you then. You have a pistol?
I have a pistol.
Then keep that with you.
Stand.
I will copy out what you've told me with certain excisements and redactions, and I will send it back to the main house in Massachusetts. And I think that we cut from that scene there to the four of you, preparedness for gearing up, all of that, that wand, that beach wand in your hand, outside of the line of the estate of Walton Mountjoy. You have discovered that on Friday evenings, he has people up, and he is currently having a gathering of his fellows, a party that is going on. And I think that you've chosen that as your best opportunity to blend, to pass, to make your way in. Does that seem like a fair thing? All right. So how do you all do you think you just drive up? Do you walk up across the grounds? What's your intent here?
From Arthur's point of view, I think he follows Wilford. He looks to Wilford as for a lead, I think, because I am shaken.
Well, I think walking up's the wrong way to do it. Nobody approaches the door of a castle and thinks they're going to get invited in. We need to find a method to get into the lair unnoticed. What say you, my friends?
It seems reasonable.
Sneak in like
It's an
thieves.
old house. It's an old set of grounds. So certainly we might have looked at the
You
records.
should. I have
Dropped
Oh,
out there.
no.
I guess the big question is, meta-wise, is we're essentially raiding Portmore's estate, yes? We're going in a confrontation. Are
That-
we going in heavy? They outnumber us, I think, unless we call in our contacts for like a, Innsmouth style, like communists and witches raid on Portmore's estate, or we sneak in. But sneaking in would require us, I think, to do some sort of scouting out of the area and identify it.
That seems fair. You may spend contacts or preparedness to call in to tell me that you have allies at the ready or whatnot, if you wish. Because you do have some people that you have made up the reserve there.
Yeah, can I spend my 2 points of contacts to put them into the Rawrite witches?
Absolutely. And while they will not enter onto the grounds of Walton Mountjoy, they will say, "What is the working that you want us to do, Richard?"
I seek the aid of Hecate's creatures, the beast, nature itself, and I could spend it here, in fact, I suppose, to have animals lead us through a unobserved part of the estate. Yes?
Yes.
Like, that seem reasonable to people?
Yeah.
Is a way to get in? Like a flock of birds, a squirrel that leads us through,
There are
somebody's
always paths.
scratched by a dog or whatever.
There are always paths through nature that are unseen. We will call an animal to lead you so that you will not be witnessed by senses, magical or mundane, until you reach the grounds of the house. So I think that you're dressed practically, but well enough that you can blend in. I suspect, Wilford, you have clothing so that you could blend in as a gardener or servant or something of that sort. And you will meet with the witches. They will do their working. I think this is probably it's the first time in a long time that you have seen more than a few of them together. Dearman brings a group, and they will cast. Their magic feels very different than yours. And they will call up a fox that will appear out of a hedge, and Dearman will say, "There is a ley line junction on the grounds, and it is empowered by the others that surround this place. So go with caution." And the fox will turn and kind of start to makes that weird sound, that whimpering that foxes do, and then has you follow. And the path is circuitous. as it moves you around through the grounds. I think that you can all feel that there definitely is a magical pressure here. You all have dedicated and guarded a ley line before. You've done that. And there's a little bit of that feel of that essence and that shielding around on the estate as a whole, because there are so many lines of power dedicated and leading to this. But you can cross into the grounds. It's night. There are lights on in the house. There are cars parked out front. There are torches out back for a garden party. You know, people can come in and out. It definitely has the feel of both, like there's a sort of general gathering of people, and then probably an inner circle party that is happening. So, Isabella, let's come back to you.
Mhm.
How do you want to, like, what do we see you doing?
This moment. Excuse me. I think what you see with her is that she has a valise with her.
Mm-hmm.
And as she's approaching the house, you see her doing like a quick count in acknowledgement of something. She clearly has brought physical things to work with, if that makes any sense. She plans to set up a set of distractions. And that is probably it. She's like dressed
So
very
you
much
are going
Yeah.
to move through the house and around the house, trying to be subtle and setting up your magician's bag of tricks, is what
Yeah.
I'm understanding. Okay. I think that we will do the roll for it to go off as we need to. But I do think this is going to be a stealth roll or a disguise roll. Disguise meaning just generally assuming the character of the people around here. Stealth means kind of staying out of sight. Because you will notice, as you come up, there are various of these members of the Pride. They are, in the least imaginative way, wearing black shirts, aping the Italians here. And there are people coming in, men and women of various kinds. It does sound like a lot of the sort of general partying is going out back in the garden. People having sent their partners out there, maybe to talk more inner secrets with Portmore and such. So what do you want to roll?
I think this is that moment where disguise is probably the most effective.
Okay.
So yeah, I probably will do that. And certainly I was dressed in black anyway, but not in order to look like a fascist, but to just be able to move as I wished.
Okay.
By the way, I look great in black, so there you go.
Yeah. So I think that is because you're going to a lot of different places, perhaps possibly staying, trying to stay out of sight and so on. I think this is difficulty 5 for this roll. This roll will kind of cover you moving throughout all of the grounds and around. Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I will spend 4. And gosh, how did I already close that? Hold on a second. It is my
Magic.
superpower. Okay. And so I rolled a 6.
So yes, you are able to move around into place. I think you
Yeah, I
can.
think I realized that he's hired some staff for servants. And they're dressed in black too, but it's servants black. And it's very easy for her to switch how she's wearing what she's wearing to look that shape of clothing, and
Mhm.
it not being perfect is actually fine because a lot of the servants would have been brought in hastily, maybe.
So I think you'll sense a couple of things, the
Okay.
tenor and tone of things. One is that there's a general heightened anxiety and nervousness, that there are clearly some special guests who are present at this gathering. Like you'll definitely get that sense. Though names aren't spoken, and a sense that they're here but being low key kind of thing. But also that definitely Portmore and his circle are agitated, and that this Friday meeting is in part to kind of regroup after what happened at Winchester. Um, and so all of Portmore's lieutenants are here.
Yikes. Yikes.
Let's come then, as you've gotten that set up, let's come to Wilford and Whitewood. Together they fight crime.
That's sublime. Well, sublime. I would like to add to Portmore's frustration because I would like the Communist Party of Great Britain to arrive outside the main entrance to his estate on public roads, because everything should be owned by the public. There should be no private ownership in the future Britain. And start demonstrating with bullhorns. Look at the decadent bourgeois elites, throwing a party while people starve in London. This is unacceptable.
Absolutely. As Isabella is getting set up, we see the borrowed bus pull up to the gates, unload. They have placards, they have signs, they have bullhorns. They have torches, and that it's close enough to the house that they can be seen and heard. And I think that like you will see a figure come out of the house who definitely is dressed very nicely, like upper class. And you will see him whistle up some of those pride boys, so to speak. And he actually seems very pleased by this.
Bit of thuggery, I'm sure he does.
Yeah, and like you can see them kind of gathering together, and you'll see him going and handing out some things to his crew. This is, by the way, Maximilian Wolf. I think this member has been mentioned in passing as one of Portmore's sort of like head bully boys there. And so they are getting ready for that. So yeah, that's definitely drawn, and I think that will draw certainly some attention. You will see Wolf does call over some of the people who look maybe a little more sophisticated, like they're a little more security wise. And he calls them over. You see him direct them, and they will actually take one of the cars and kind of drive it around back. And clearly they've been tasked with watching something or sitting on someone or something. So that's what you will see. Dr. Whitewood, when this hullabaloo breaks out, what is it that you want to be doing, mundane or magically?
I think that I want to cast my microscope over these people, this building. I think I'm probably heading towards where's it gone? Sense trouble almost. Where are there wards on the building? And are these people connected to these wards? I guess is the question that I'm curious about as I adjust the mirror into the right direction.
Interesting. Yeah, let's have you roll sense trouble. I think we'll base what you get based on the roll that you make here. And you may spend your pool from the Zoa to give yourself a bonus, essentially at that same investigative 1 for 3.
Okay, so so if I spend one Zoa, one of my knowledge bonuses, and one of sense trouble, are we saying that gives me 4?
That is exactly.
Okay, here we go. A 1.
So
I'm picking up where I left off.
Yeah, I think that you can sense that there are some magical wardings here, but they are like at the fence lines, and kind of clearly the architecture of the ley lines protections itself. Like clearly he recognizes that as important, and there's a lot more architecture there. There's less of it on the house itself, and you suspect because that's probably where they do their workings, and putting too much magical protections, guidance, things like that has potential to interfere with those things. That's what you believe.
Fine. That works for me.
Okay. What does that look like? Like, what do we see on screen when you...
I think there is that. We've seen him use the field microscope before, and it's about focusing the mirror on the building and the surrounds, and perhaps zooming down the microscope to get this sense of, we see outlined around the fence, the fence line. We see the warding illustrated around the fence line, and then perhaps a whisper to Wilford. The building is perhaps unsurprisingly free of wards, Wilford, lest they damp their own workings.
It's an excellent investigation there, Doctor. Handy to know.
Thank you, Wilford.
Richard, what is it that you are doing?
We're in the building, the estate.
You're on the grounds of the estate.
Yeah.
You can wander into the house or into the back, or whatnot.
I think I'd like to have a quick look at my technical skills and investigative skills, and see what I might be able to spend here for to get more insight into what's going on.
You still have build points. You should spend those.
Yes. I mean, I have 5 in occult already. What else is there to spend points on in this game? Occult.
I meant like architecture or things like that.
Well, couldn't it? Yeah. I think architecture might be the one, right? Like in terms of trying to find where an inner circle might be located within this building. Or you know what? We've not really established ourselves as blending in with the group, with the gathering, have we? As like infiltrating them. That would
I think you can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be a disguise check. to
Yeah.
do that, to kind of blend in.
Yeah. I think that what Richard's actually done is he's had his hair cut in a very fascist bully boy way, and it's all back like the Italians, and he's got a black shirt and lots of vaguely militaristic sort of trousers and things, jack boots and stuff like that. And I'm going to try and blend in with the group.
Sure.
And I will do that with a disguise. What difficulty are we looking at, do you think?
I think we set it at 5 for Isabella.
Okay.
So is there anything you want to spend to boost that up?
Yes, I think I'd like to spend what languages did I give myself? I think I've only given myself Enochian so far. No, they're not Italian fascists. They're just inspired by Italian fascists, aren't they?
Right.
That's the problem, isn't it?
We have heard that they do have strong connections with the Italians. You recall that the guy who was running the school was an Italian. You know that there's a guy named Martini who's British, but is a translator of Italian texts and is kind of the like person who's translated a lot of the Italian doctrines over into English for Portmore.
I'd like to spend a point of languages to give myself a 3-point pool to pretend to be a visiting member of the Italians across the board, and therefore less likely to be someone that they would recognize, like that would explain why I'm not familiar to them.
Sure.
And then, so that would give me a +4 if I spend my single point of disguise.
Yeah. Let's have you roll.
That's a 10.
Once again, a 10. So I think you can blend in. And I think you'll realize that, like, as you're kind of walking through the house, it's very clear that Portmore and his people are right now like gathered and engaged in something. And there seems to be sort of the general crew out back, the hangers on and people talking and stuff. And maybe a little sense of like they would have expected Portmore to come down, there, people to be there. Maybe a little bit of tension about that. And especially now that the people are hearing the protests, you can see there's a general feeling of people being like socially uncomfortable in that way. But of course, no one wants to say anything.
Yeah, and Richard's gonna be like, "Dove el Succio? Where's our leader? We must warn him of this rabble outside."
And people will say, I think he knows. He must be hearing it in the house. He must be seeing that. It's just given who's here. I don't know. I mean, he needs to do something.
Forgive me. I don't understand fully. Who is here?
And they will point over to a couple standing in the backyard, a woman and a man. They look distinctly uncomfortable, and you will see that they are like the black shirts are kind of watching them, and you will see the Duke of Windsor.
I see the English nobility.
And sorry, the Prince of Wales. Sorry, his Royal Majesty, the future Edward VIII, I believe is how I wish to say that. Along with his
don't
lady
put a British
companion.
in front of me, Lowell. Don't put a British Lowell in front of me.
I know. That's actually where we're going to take our first break here, with that kind of camera pan over to the Prince of Wales and Wallace Simpson standing in the backyard. So take 10 and we will come back. So we are back. So May I, just for the purposes of getting sort of crosstalk here, assume that there is a darkened corner at the outside of the edge of the house that the four of you can meet in to kind of crosstalk and discuss what next steps are?
We need to find a telephone.
Telephone, Whitewood. What good will that be?
We cannot have His Royal Highness involved in this.
He's involved himself, Whitewood.
Yes, but there are things that cannot happen, Richard.
What kind of magician is that?
I need to contact the chief inspector and tell him that there is to call the palace. The king must intervene.
The scandal. Britain could not stand a scandal. Richard. Bad for Albion.
To what? To trim the dead weight? To cleanse us of this? These false kings?
This is no time to embark on a political crusade, Richard. There is more at stake here.
As we hear coming over the the Communist Party.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're inside, not outside with those nutters, Richard. I got them here because they're a bunch of nutters. They'll never succeed.
The divine right of kings and queens. What of it?
Not in our Albion, but the common man needs them.
The common man needs one who would come to Portmore's party. What? You think so much of His Majesty that you would protect him from his own wayward ambition here?
Yes.
Burn them all to the ground, I say.
Calm down. Poor Isabella, we're putting her to sleep here. Talk of kings and queens.
Yeah, the Americans right idea.
Yeah, and I think she goes probably just a word to their chauffeur and when they drive them off. I always had the impression that exits were always very well planned and oiled.
Well, I can think of a way to get His Majesty out of here quite sharpish. If I was to place a call to my friend in the tabloids, and he was to make some inquiries, then I suppose. But what to what end? Honestly.
Well, Portmore's trying
here.
to convert him.
We are here to kill Portmore.
Yes.
We cannot implicate the heir to the throne in that.
It would be the first good thing the man's done.
I'm sorry, Richard, I cannot agree. And I begin to head round the back of the building to look for the servants' entrance.
Okay. I'll tell you again, you are in Walton Mountjoy. You are miles away from places. You are 5 miles south of Basingstoke, and you are ways outside of London. The wheels will turn slowly, but I don't think that matters to Dr. Whitewood.
Absolutely not.
Other three of you, what is your plan?
Need to find this inner sanctum.
Yes.
Well, and I did do a walkabout of the house. Can I use my particular skills to identify where that would be?
Spend architecture?
Okay, let me see if I still have it. If not, I will buy it back. Hold on. Architecture, I still have it, yay. Okay. I have spent architecture roll.
It does seem like there is you've seen various doors and chambers that suggest that there is a downstairs that has been remodeled. You kind of told that there's a weird sort of central octagonal feature, the room shape of one of the rooms that passing through. There's a octagonal bedroom above, and you suspect that sort of same pattern is down below there.
So would that have been a what do you say, a useful architectural structure, or is that a how do you say, ritual feature?
It definitely it seems like a kind of bizarre flourish, so it's you suspect it is a ritual feature.
Okay. So I will say that I've heard that there are renovations down in the basement. I have not yet gone down there. However, there is a octagon that goes throughout the house. I assume that it is housed within that octagon. Do you think that they're in the midst of their workings then? It should make things very easy.
Could
Yes.
be right, Miss Grimaldi.
Shame the doctor's not with us, but I suppose he has other priorities.
Oh,
He does,
give him
doesn't he?
time. Give him time, Richard. He's part of Albion.
Don't know, Wilford. That name he invoked has nothing to do with Albion.
True, he called on desperate powers in a desperate time, and he was slightly unhinged, to say the least. But I still think he's with us. He would not abandon his friends, same as he will not abandon Albion or his country.
Richard would just pointedly look to the absent space between us and check his pistol and his sword, and then say, "Well, there's bloody business afoot tonight, one way or the other. Let us once more into the dragon's lair, my friends."
Once more, the four of us.
Three of us right now. Where is the doctor?
So let's cut as you three plan to kind of head into the household to Dr. Whitewood. You are making your way around and into the house to attempt to locate a phone.
To the servants' exit entrance at the back, deliveries, if you like. Knock roundly on the door if it won't open.
Sure. What do you want to use to blend in here?
Oh, I don't think this is blending in. I think it's going to be difficult to blend in.
Okay.
Is the door open? I should have asked first.
Well, there are servants moving around, and so when you knock on the back door, you will see this woman approach back, and she looks at you, certainly with a grimace of who. All right, what's all this then?
I'm terribly sorry to disturb you. Could I just and I go to throw reassurance in her face. Something of an emergency. Need to use the telephone.
Who are you precisely?
My name is Whitewood. Lord Portmore invited me, but I do need to make a telephone call before that happens.
2 points of reassurance.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, there it is. Yes, 2 points of reassurance.
Mrs. Walmsley will come over and she will say, "I will take you to the main hall where the phone is."
If you must. And yes, you must.
And she will take you through the house. Walking through, you'll see various people around and about. Can I please have you make a stealth roll here for me?
Oh, what's my difficulty here?
I think you are a public figure, known. I think it is difficulty 6 right now.
Okay. Well, I think it's time to spend some of those bill points, isn't it? So I'm going to spend 2 of my stored bill points and put them into stealth.
Okay.
And then spend all 4 of them.
Please do.
4.
Okay. So I don't think any of the guests will spot you out here as you are led through the household into the hall, and you are led to the phone, which is essentially on a side table there, and she will stand by.
Ah, that's a shame. How public are we?
You're in the main hall. There are people around and about.
Is there a long enough lead on the telephone to just go round the corner or through that door there?
Let's do a fate check here. I will abrogate responsibility, as they say. Yeah, I think you could do that. She kind of wants to keep you in sight, but like if you make it clear that you don't want your phone call overheard.
Indeed.
Okay, I think you can do that.
So close the door and then ring Scotland Yard.
Absolutely.
And spend another 2 of my rapidly declining build points into contacts. And if necessary, I will spend the 3 contacts I've now created to get Jepson on the phone.
So it's late at night on a Friday night.
It is.
So this is you not calling him at Scotland Yard. You
Calling
have
him
to call
home.
him at home.
Indeed.
So I think there is the sound of a like maid's voice, and then a little bit later that Jepson's voice comes on. Who's this then?
Inspector, it's me, Arthur Whitewood. Please don't put the phone down. I know what you said, but this is very important. This is a matter of national importance.
National importance.
Yes, His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales is at oh God, what is the name of this place? Lord Portmore's place, Mountjoy, Walton, Mountjoy, and with a group of fascists, and there are a bunch of communists present, and I think there is likely to be a riot, and clearly His Royal Highness cannot be involved in that. Please, Inspector, call someone, the Chief Constable locally, whoever is necessary. They have to get His Royal Highness off the premises.
Long pause. You want me, on your word, to call one of my colleagues, rouse them out of bed on a Friday night, to send them out to the estate of a lord?
Yes, it's essential that His Royal Highness and Mrs. Simpson are cleared from this location. Please, Inspector, you have to believe me. They're in significant danger here.
I tell you, when I lose my job, I am going to come and have a word with you, Dr. Whitewood.
I owe you a very great deal, Inspector. And I understand that I am stretching our friendship to breaking point.
We have no friendship. And he hangs up.
Very good.
And I think you'll hear this melodious voice say, Dr. Whitewood. And I think you will turn around and you will see Tatiana.
I've lost Tatiana. Which one's Tatiana?
Oh, you know who she is. Queen Tatiana.
Oh, good Lord. Oh, Audrey, as I
No,
know her.
no.
Oh, no.
Not Audrey.
Oh, God, no. Oh, no.
Cut. So, Isabella, Richard, Wilford, you're making your way inside trying to find to this ritual space, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like a stealth roll. I think difficulty 6. You may piggyback. Whoever wants to roll it, other people can spend a point. Who is our stealth expert?
Probably Wilford. Yes. So I will give you a point. Wilford?
Superb.
Okay.
Richard, do you have anything to throw in?
I have 1 point. Can I spend another one to give you a point?
So one to piggyback, and then if you want to spend another point to assist, you can do that.
With
Yeah, I
two,
will do.
Richard, you may be better for keeping that for another piggyback, just in case you need it in the future.
Another stealth check. Good
I,
point.
however, can give you another one, so I will do that.
Superb. So we need to break 6. This is pretty important. So
6
I'm
plus.
gonna spend 5, leaving me 1 to piggyback off Isabella if I need to in the future.
Okay.
And that's going to give me plus 5.
Okay.
I think.
Plus
Isabella,
6, because I gave you a one to help, right?
Plus
Right.
6.
Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Yes, if you could make the roll for me, Isabel.
Oh boy. Okay, sure. I can do it. You rolled a
I've
6.
got all the faith in the world.
You rolled a 6.
Excellent.
Oh, no, that's good. That's good.
So I imagine it's kind of having to follow the architecture of the place to make your way around through here to find one of these doors that leads down into a set of basement chambers. And you will see as you come through, there is that classic sort of, there's a doorway, but there's curtains hanging there. And you will take a peek through, and this is a large octagonal room with very much that kind of altar space. There are, sconces and candles, black sconces, red candles. There are decorations around. You'll see various copies of paintings and such in here, and arcane tools and things. And you will see that there are a set of 4 people in there. I'm sorry, 3 people in there talking, and none of them are Portmore. But these 3 seem to be agitated and upset. And you all have enough magical vision to tell that all 3 of these are magicians. They're all each connected to at least one ley line. And there's why are there communists here? Is this a disruption? Is this symbolic? We've already done the ritual. She will do what she needs to do now. And there are 2 men and a woman, and the sort of most pale of them, thin-haired, will say, if Portmore fails at this, with what has happened at Winchester, it may needs be, given how many others he has gotten killed, that we need to do something of our own. What do you three want to do?
By what we've just overheard, do we need to turn these against Portmore or get rid of them? But we need to act quickly.
I'd say death to them all.
Would it not be better to divide and conquer, Richard?
Yes. Well,
Get rid of them now, and we know who they are now. We can visit them in the night, some other stage, and dispatch them then.
A good point, Wilfred. We can turn them against Portmore. Then yes, what?
If Portmore is still alive is the question there at that point. But these are three of Portmore's senior lieutenants.
Go in there and tell them the place is compromised. It's called off. They are to leave and come back at another time.
That is a rather good idea, Wilfred. A rather good idea. Perhaps say that the Duke of Windsor's has summoned the army, perhaps, to protect him from the communist rabble, and they will be the authorities will be falling upon this right this second. And it would be good for men to be far away.
Aye, and maybe journalists as well. Nobody likes a journalist.
Yes. I think I'm willing to give that a try as a bluff.
As you can see, Isabel looks completely confused by all of these mechanisms. She goes, if you think that will work, what do you need from me?
I think just be prepared to help me if this doesn't work.
All right. I mean,
Because
worst
my
case scenario, she goes, I can set off some loud bangs.
yes. Sure, I think we'd have the problem of drawing rather more of their men here.
But loud bangs outside could mean the arrival of the army.
Oh, I mean, we're only preparedness roll away from having a timed bang, right? Like go up inside a fireworks display or something, right? Yeah. Anyway, but I leave that in the hands of my capable companions as probably the person with the best chance of lying through my teeth. So I will, I think, rush in and say, my lords.
You will step inside, and as soon as you step inside, you will feel that unpleasantness from these three. The wing-haired, stringy-haired Lord kind of looks at you, and you can tell that there is something inside of him. The other person kind of turns to you. You can see, I think you see the corruption in him on his face through your magics. You see that his skin is starting to weep away like a rotted apple. And the last person you see, like, her eyes are milky white to you with cataracts, and they will look at you. What do you do, Richard?
Forgive me, my lords. The communists outside, then their attention has panicked the Duke. He has summoned the authorities to clear the rabble, and a raid is approaching. I was instructed to tell you to depart as quickly as possible.
Would you roll me 1d6 before we go any further?
Of course. Is there anything I can do to influence that roll?
No.
Okay. Support.
Okay. So they don't immediately know who you are. Because you do know that Portmore's people have been briefed on you guys.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So they don't immediately recognize you, but one of them, the Lord Westall,
the clipped hair, military style haircut, and the stubble that he's allowed to grow over the weeks.
Westall will say, "Who are you?"
I am Benedict. I am just a humble servant of the Pride, my lord. But your role here, you could not be caught with the authorities. The Duke and his men will tear this movement apart. We need you.
And Wainwright will turn and will say, "Thank you for informing us. Absolutely. We will leave now." Why don't you go ahead and make whatever convince spend you want to make there? I think one per person.
Yeah. I'd like to make you know what, two flatteries.
Okay.
I think buttering them up, and the other one perhaps an intimidation. Whoever is most scared of their mortal.
Absolutely.
You know? And the flattery is, that you're such, there is nothing without such visionaries as yourself.
Westall and Vincent will move to leave, and Wainwright steps over to you and says, "Thank you. Was it Benedict?"
Yes, my lord.
I do want to point out that you and your companions were told never to come here.
I understand, my lord. I understand.
Would you please roll dodge as he goes to stab you in the gut?
Okay. I will spend.
I've got an 8.
Got an 8. And I will spend 5 points of athletics.
Okay.
I got an 8 as well.
Yeah. So he does draw out this knife and clearly go to stab this servant who has violated his master's orders. You will dodge back. Isabella, Wilford.
Rather than dodging back, as he steps forward, I step into him and the blade goes through my coat, and then I push him backwards and stagger back away.
Okay. I like that. Isabella.
Are the other two gone?
They
Have
are
moved on?
moving out the other doors at this moment.
Right. When I see the scuffle start, I kind of pull Wolford myself in and close the door so it's just us handling this and we don't have them coming back, if that makes any sense.
They've gone to kind of other doors.
Okay,
from
good.
Here.
So they've gone different. Okay, good,
Yeah.
good.
Can your magic hurry them along, Isabella? When I say your magic, I mean the stage magic.
Oh,
Maybe a loud sound outside.
I would think so. Let's see here.
So you want to create a distraction so that they won't hear the sounds of whatever is going to happen in this room?
Right. So I think that I probably have set up something with that sounds like a set of staccato gunshots that are coming from one of the corners of the estate.
Okay. Let us have you roll preparedness.
All right. What do I need to roll?
I think this is difficulty 4 because you set things up.
Okay. I'm gonna spend 3. And roll. Okay, I thought I hit the return. Oh, I did. So that's a 4.
So gunshots go off. Those two will rush up the stairs. That sound will carry. People in the backyard suddenly are panicked. And I think out front, there's been a standoff and those gunshots go off. And I think we see an absolute fracas, melee break out as those black shirts lay in with weapons into the communists. And there is a fight going on outside right now. Wilford.
I think I'm going to have to leap into the room and take a pot shot at this spindly old man.
Okay. Let's have you make that roll 4 to hit.
Let's spend 3 points then. Will, as you're just avoided the shanking, can you roll the dice for me?
Sure thing. 3 point spend.
Yep.
That's a 6.
That is a 6. So that will hit. Will, would you roll me another die?
Yes. Just a straight up die.
Yep.
That's a 3.
So you will wing him, Wilford, and he, his body gives a little bit, but his eyes blaze, and you will feel him call up his magic. Richard.
Is there a good way of stopping someone from calling up their magics? Just killing them, I suppose, is the best way, right?
Yeah, killing them, distracting them, causing them pain, interrupting their casting.
Yeah. I will. In my dumb head, I have this idea of it being like a modern day thing, and you just pull out an air horn from your pocket. No one can straight in front of them. I guess. I will
shank him back.
Yeah, I think that seems to be about. I was trying to come up with something more imaginative than just stabbing him back again. But I think when in doubt, stab the person who tried to stab you.
Okay.
So yeah, I will roll up on one knee and plunge him through the stomach.
Difficulty 4.
Spend 3 points.
I mean, you've got scuffling, so you could Mike Tyson him and bite his ear.
Yeah, but if I'm going to do that, I may as well just stab him, right? I will spend, how many points of weapons do I have? I have 8, difficulty 4. I will spend 2 points.
Okay.
6.
So that is a 6. Would you roll me a d6?
And is he another worldly creature?
Not exactly, but I will give you a +1 on this.
Cool. Is he the one who had something inside of him? I only go 2.
So I think you will catch on to him, and like that stab will go into his side, but he will reach out and he will touch you, or at least put his hands close by. You may resist this with stability.
Okay.
So I'll spend 4 points. So I've got a 6 right now.
Okay. I will spend 5 points. I got an 11 right now.
So he basically does a simple shrivening and lets loose that to wrench your soul from your body. But you are able to fight that off. And I think that's like his eyes will focus. He clearly just for a bit thought you were just, communist brigands or whatnot, but the mirrored blade, that resistance, he will draw back a little bit more. Isabella.
Interesting. He draws back into me though. So I think that I probably will take my mirrored blade also seeks him, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely.
So let's see here. And do you just pick a number and go for it? I don't know.
Difficulty 4.
Difficulty 4. So I'll spend 3. So that gives me 7.
7. So roll me a d6.
2. This is where we can hit like crazy, but we can't.
You are
do any damage.
stabbing into him. He's kind of going back. I imagine that the altar piece is kind of fallen over. He's kind of turning. I think all of you can see his skin kind of roiling as he calls up his magics there. Wilford.
Another shot at him.
Okay. Difficulty 3 now to hit him in a confined area.
Oh, okay. I will spend 2 points in firearms. And Isabella, can you do me the honors this time, please?
Sure. You rolled a 6, sir.
Okay. Would you roll 2d6 for me, Isabella?
Oh, goodness. Here's where it all goes to hell. Okay. A 6 and a 2.
So that would
That's
be
pretty good.
5 and 1. So I think that shot will catch him in the cheek with that. And he will stagger back, trying to keep his jawbone up and intact. You can tell that he doesn't feel pain in the same way that you do. And that at this point he's beginning to realize the consequences of that. There, Richard, how do you finish him off?
I mean, I'll stab him again, you know.
Where do
Yeah.
you stab him?
I think like right through the face, you know,
Okay.
like oh, like
Catch him through that, a hard stab that'll go through where he's holding his hand up against it, kind of pin that through, and there will be that gurgle, and the minute that his soul leaves his body, you will see it just begin to decay. It will start to rot from the inside, and the smell is abysmal. Everybody should make a stability test.
what difficulty?
Difficulty 4.
Okay. I'll spend 2 points.
Okay,
Passed.
pass. Would somebody
Let's see.
roll for Wilford? How many are you spending, Wilford?
I will spend 2 points,
Okay.
please.
Okay. Hold on a second. I will roll for Woodford. You got a 2.
So that
you
makes
should
it.
be okay. And then I spent 3 because I can feel the luck going. Yeah, so there's 2. So that
Yeah, so we'll just lose that. I'm going to cut back upstairs. Dr. Whitewood.
Your Majesty,
Yes, I am.
I will admit, Mom, that I am surprised to see you here.
Are you now?
Yes. Might I politely inquire why you are here?
Because I'm going to take the throne of Albion.
Oh. I see.
You are standing in my way.
And am I to assume that His Royal Highness is in some way involved in this, as perhaps he was the more obvious candidate?
You are quick on the uptake, Dr. Whitewood. However, you've been talking to me, and I have been preparing. And Dr. Whitewood, would you please make a stability resist here?
How many?
Let's see. I will spend that. So difficulty 7.
7. I will spend 6. That is 9.
So she does this gesture, and you will feel her wrench your heart. You feel it physically move in your chest there, bounce against it. And I think there is a gasp of that as you kind of stagger back away from it.
Falling out into the hall. Is Mrs.
Yes, she
Wolseley
is.
still there?
Absolutely.
Use her to clamber to my feet and say, where is Lord Portmore?
And she'll look over your shoulder and she will say, ma'am, is this man bothering you? And I think the rolling pin comes up. You may make a dodge.
Yeah, with that athletics, which rather got run down last time, I will spend
I've
2.
got an 8.
Oh my, right. Well, let's spend all of that, My build points go to, whoops, daisy, let's go. Build points go to 0. Athletics go up by 4 to 13. And I spend all 4 down to 0 and roll a d6. 3.
Plus 4
He's
is
a 7.
7. So that does not make it.
No.
So you are going to take 5 points of health damage
Okay.
as she smacks you across the skull with this rolling pin.
Ouch.
And then you hear the sound of gunshots.
Exactly.
And I think we'll start hearing screaming as Tatiana glides in behind you. She raises up
Flee!
for
Flee!
another
Flee!
strike with this. Let's take our second break, and then we will continue on. So let me frame up what's happening here. It's when camera kind of comes back. Out front, a nasty, violent, armed brawl has broken out between these communist demonstrators and these fascists led by Maximilian Wolf. He has armed his people, and they are laying into those communists out there. Inside, we see right now 2 of the lieutenants, Westall and Vincent, running through the house. One of them is going to cross another scene here in just a moment. Fraser, Grimaldi, and Wilford are moving out of those chambers, I assume, though there may be something you want to do before you leave there. Out back, there is chaos at the sound of these gunshots. Partygoers have heard the communists, and now we've heard gunshots, and now there's more sounds of violence. And I think we will see some people moving over to interpose themselves between our Royal Highness there. That driver with the car is back there. They're probably going to start moving people into that. I think it's the first glimpse we get of Portmore out back in and amongst the torchlight, looking at all this. And in the main hall, Dr. Whitewood is getting ready to run away from the Queen of the Fairies and a housekeeper. So that's our
Who
situation.
so far has done me more harm.
Yes. Isabella, let's come back to the basement, to that scene of what is happening there. I'm going to make a little clock for myself here too. What are you doing?
I think the first thing I want to do is look to see what it is that they've just completed down here, to see if we can, how should we say, break any forward progress that they've created.
Make an occult spend.
Okay, that seems reasonable. Let's see here. So occult spend. Here it is. Yes. Sure. I have done this thing.
Sure. They have, like you can see from the ritual objects and things like this, they gave something entrance into the world. Not a summoned, but they provided a gate for something to step through, and it is likely still present on the grounds.
Hmm.
Do you want to make another occult spend?
Yeah, sure.
I think you will see the markers of the Fae, those markers of the doors of the Fae that you saw before. And I think you'll see the markers for royalty. And I think you can put 2 and 2 together.
All right. All right. So I remember that there was that little boy that was there at the door,
Yes.
and the door's been opened. What was his name again? It was
Let me look and see. It was in the notes here, I believe. Let me just check that. That was session 8. Cutter.
Cutter, you said?
Cutter, yes.
Yeah. And I think I say, because the door is still open, I say, Cutter, I remember you. Are you going to come out?
And I think, Richard, Wilford, you will see the air kind of shimmer, and you will see that little boy, the one who did not follow the Piper of Hamelin, the one who is stuck as the gatekeeper, will look through and will say, "Milady?"
You can come out if you wish.
"Oh, I cannot do that thing."
Can you close the door?
I cannot until she returns through, ma'am."
We must do something for him, Isabella. I said last time we saw them that we would help him, and I never did. We must do something for this poor lad.
What do we do?
"This is my task, milady. Until the king frees me, I am here."
All right,
Yep.
then. And she sort of nods and says, remember when we speak to the king. And she says that to Wilford. It sort of like puts her hand on his shoulder. You and I, we both will remember.
Aye.
Could the boy not fetch the king?
We turn and say, can you send a message to the king?
I think I'm going to need a social spend, because you see him kind of, his eyes go up as if to say, that's going to make someone very angry at him.
Yes, it is.
I do have reassurance. If that's
I think
sort of area you're leaning, Isabella.
Certainly.
I think
Yes.
a 2-point spend.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts, lol.
That can be, yeah.
Build points are disappearing
Good.
rapidly. Yeah. 2 points reassurance spent.
If you will vouchsafe for me, if things go wrong, I will go and tell the king.
Well,
what should I say to him?
Titania has set herself to take the throne of Albion. She's out and about in the world right now.
And he vanishes. Richard, what do you want to do?
Portmore's not here. The work is done. We killed one of the lieutenants.
Yes.
This appears to be the inner chamber. Is there a ley line that comes through here?
No, the ley line doesn't come through here.
Is there any nexus of magical power here? Has it been?
It's definitely enchanted and tied to the ley line.
Yeah, I'd like to try and break that.
Okay. So I think that is going to be a bit of a ritual here. And this will be, and you can spend magic and stuff. I think we'll say difficulty 10 to overcome that and sever this.
I'll give you one of my points of magic.
Okay.
So that'll give you +2.
Yeah.
As will I, Richard.
That'll give you another +2. So that's 4.
I will spend one of mine, which then takes us to 7.
Yep.
And I will spend more stability points to give me more, because I really want to do this. I will spend another 2 stability points, which can give me a 9, which means I can't. 13.
So what does that look like? Like, what do we see you do to cut off this ritual room from the burning beach, from the marker of the ley line?
I think we all stand in the middle of the room, and I trace a sigil circle around us with the blade and the remains of the lieutenant that we just killed, like smearing that oozy substance that's just across the room. And as we, chant in Enochian, the others like put their hands on my shoulder. I plunge the blade down in the middle, and that smear like erupts into fire.
Perfect. Let's come to Dr. Whitewood. So I heard fleeing.
Flee, flee, absolutely flee.
Okay, let me roll for the difficulty. We'll make that spend. So I've got an 8.
I will spend 7 of my 8.
Okay.
That's a 1.
So I think you will run through the house desperately just ahead of this housekeeper. There's chaos around, and I think you will run out into that backyard where the various people are moving in different directions, like some of them running into the house, some of them running out of the house. And you will see a couple of people bundling His Royal Highness and Wallace Simpson into the back of a car, and you will see Portmore there.
I must give chase.
So you're rushing over to Portmore?
Yes.
Okay. He will turn to you.
And I shoot him.
Please roll to hit.
What's my difficulty?
Difficulty is 4.
4. Firearms. 3. I will blow it all. 1d6 plus 3. That is a 6.
Hit. Roll damage.
1d6.
Yes.
4.
Minus that. You will shoot him, and he will look at you.
Your Royal Highness, run!
Royal Highness isn't even hearing you. They're being bundled into the vehicle. Damn. I think Portmore will look past you because there's somebody else coming, but he will stride forward and he will say, Dr. Whitewood, I have been waiting for this moment. And he will hold his hand up, and you will see a knife appear in his hand. And he will swing fear at you.
What would you like me to roll?
I have a 9 to hit you.
Is this physical dodging?
Yes, he is swinging a physical knife at you.
Can I use flee?
Yes.
Well, that's 1. And I will spend my last 2 build points into fleeing to take it up to, it would be 10, but that means I've spent 3. D6 plus 3.
You want to roll a 6.
That is an 8 altogether.
Dr. Whitewood, you will lose 5 points of stability.
Ooh.
And 9 health.
Oh, that goes to 0 health.
It has been a while. Let us look at the rules on this. Damage and healing. From 0 to -5, you are able to operate but may not make any investigative ability spends, and the difficulty of all general tests increased by 1. As soon as you dip below 0, you must make a consciousness test.
Okay.
So you don't have to make that. Where are you at stability-wise?
Stability is at 1.
Okay. From 0 to -5 stability, you are shaken, and the difficulty of all tests increased by 1. So he rakes this blade across you. And I think there is a brief montage, a moment where you will feel all of your fears. You'll flash back to your time fighting, to you hiding underneath a car, to you leaving that baby on the doorstep. all of those things will flash back to you as he brings this forward. And he will say, "You are not worthy of Albion." As you stagger back, blood is flowing out of your chest there. What do you do?
I no longer serve Albion, but Nyarlathotep. And I seek to conjure an aspect of Nyarlathotep against him and the Queen.
Roll me a d6. Flat.
Oh. Okay. That is a 5.
That is a 5. So I think what you will feel is he steps back, like you call that, and he will step back. And I think you'll hear a voice in your head that will say, "You said that like that was something new, Dr. Whitewood, but I already own you."
This man is not worthy of Albion. There are others.
"Lay down, Dr. Whitewood," says the voice.
And I lie down.
Okay. Richard, Isabella, Wilford, you have severed the line. There is noise outside. Do you head on out?
I think there's nothing more we can do here. Yes, we've severed Montjoy, we've killed one of them. We can't find Portmore.
Isabella, you're muted.
Richard, more importantly, where the hell's the doctor?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
Let's go find him.
I imagine there's a montage of the three of you rushing out, like there's noise outside, and you will come out into the backyard. I think there's a brief moment where you see His Royal Highness driving away, being driven away out into the night. There's the sounds of that fighting out front. There are people kind of standing back. You will see that Lord, named again, hang on. Westall is out here in the backyard. You will see Portmore kind of stepping back as you see Dr. Whitewood's body writhing on the ground. Wilford, what do you do?
Doctor, no! I'm going to charge forwards towards. I think he's clearly done something to my good friend Doctor. So, yeah, I ain't happy with this.
Okay.
Ain't happy at all.
So you're essentially trying to get between Portmore and the doctor's writhing body?
Indeed, yeah. Yes.
I think that's an athletics check to get up there and kind of push Portmore away. Portmore, I think difficulty 4. Portmore is like clearly panicked.
I'm going to spend 3 points of athletics.
Okay.
So that will drop me down.
Somebody roll.
Somebody could roll for me.
Yes.
Doctor. Or Isabella, you go ahead and roll.
All right. I rolled a 5 for him.
So 8. So
I think what a roll. Brilliant.
You'll grab Dr. Whitewood and begin dragging him off. Portmore is kind of like, you see he has that knife in his hand, and for the moment he seems kind of frozen in place. You do see Westall there also coming forward to try and like interpose himself in this situation. Richard.
I'd like to get Westall out of the equation, I think.
Okay.
Which would be, is Westall the one with the thing growing in him? The thing inside of him?
Yes.
I'd like to try and banish whatever that is.
Okay.
Stability cost 4/5. The stability test 4/5. The cost is half of the entity's largest stability pool or 5 stability minimum.
Okay. So we'll go with that 5 minimum.
Yeah.
Do you need a little assistance with magic?
I will never say no.
And she sees you start to draw back to do a ritual, and she sort of puts her hand on your shoulder, and you can feel her just sort of giving you some of that shared magic that we all have built together.
So that I need to make the stability test and then pay the cost, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I will spend, so if you, I'll just do the test and then we'll bear the cost together.
Sure.
Yeah. So I will spend 1 point of magic, 1 point of stability. That's a +4. That's a 6. So I pass that test, and then I will spend my last point of magic, which will then be a 5 with Isabella's point of magic, I think. So we are now.
So there is a moment when you do that, and you will let loose with that, and you will see there is a startled look on Westall's face, and then you'll see them kind of draw back, and their neck balloons. And in the next moment, there is this bloody coughing, and you will see this thing kind of spit out this enormous insect. And you can tell it takes some bits of the inner lining of this magician with it as it flies out and kind of splatters onto the ground. And like Westall's eyes go blank as they stagger back away, dying there. That is a difficulty 4 stability test from everybody there.
Pelgrane there, right? You get points back for killing me. I'll spend 2.
Okay. You're good?
Roll a 6. Wow.
He said, I'll spend 3. So
Okay.
6. And roll. So that's a 6.
You're good.
Yeah.
And Wilford?
I will spend 3 points.
Okay. Isabella?
Richard?
Yep.
And I rolled a 6 for him.
Anybody, doesn't
So
matter.
you
I rolled a
all,
6.
like, this insect doesn't even bother you as it spat up and
Yeah, we're very much, of course, it's one of these.
okay.
That was a high roll.
Dr. Whitewood, I think you will feel your spirit move along the ley lines out of your body there. And I think we will see it move to that tree, that burning beach there. What do you want to have happen?
Burn it. Burn it to the ground.
Roll me a d6.
Two.
It will ignite. You will call on what little strength you have left in your soul, and you will call the fire. You saw the dragon's fire before. You know what it feels like. You felt that. And Richard, Isabella, Wilford, you will see in the distance there is this massive explosion of fire. You will see this tree ignite, every branch catching like the dragon's flame from it. And Wilford, you will look and you've got Whitewood in your hands. Whitewood, what is the last thing you say to your friend Wilford?
Look after my people.
Will, Doctor, and I will avenge you. I will avenge you, my friend. As I pull a pistol on Portmore. You bastard! You bastard, Portmore!
Let's have you roll to hit here. Portmore is, as I mentioned, disrupted. His shields are disrupted from this, but he's going to regather his strength in a moment.
I have some firearms I can lend you.
Throw in with a bullet if you wish, Isabella. That
Yeah.
would be much appreciated.
Sure.
So what's to hit, Lowell?
4 to hit.
I'm going to spend 3 points.
Okay.
If somebody could roll some dice for me.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, that's a 1.
That's still a hit. That's still fine.
Roll me a d6. Isabella.
Oh, that's right. That's me. I
Yeah.
just did it. And then, okay, a 4.
So the shot will go into Portmore. You see him like he sees the tree going, he's screaming out, and you can see that he is getting ready to run out of here. Wilford's put a bullet in him. Isabella?
I think I will just set all the rest of the fireworks, or the stuff that I've set going, so that it's just kind of like
You burn-
flashes. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Pyrotechnics and burning the house down?
essentially, it's a slow burn. There's a lot of warning.
Would you
People have
now
the chance to
make
get
an
up.
explosives roll?
Yes, I would happily do that. Let's see here, explosive. So
Difficulty 4, but whatever your margin of success is going to say what is going on here.
well, then I will use all 6 on it, and then I will roll a 1d6. And it's a good thing I did. So that's a 1. That's a 7.
7. So as Portmore is staggering back from Wilford's shot, standing over the body of Whitewood, Isabella lights this up, and the windows will blow out of several floors of this. There will be the sounds of explosions there, fires immediately. Richard. What do you do?
I mean, is Portmore's taken care of, it seems.
No, he is running.
He is running. Are there any vehicles here?
Yeah, let's say yes.
Yeah. I'd like to drag a fascist out of one, and as they fumble with the keys, and try and run him down.
Okay, let's have you make a driving test.
Can I plead for a motorbike?
It's harder to run someone over in a motorbike. Usually you don't come off quite well. You know what? Actually, a motorbike with the sword would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Because I can like stab him through the heart with the sword. It'd be very symbolic. Yeah, that's more. Let's go with that.
So are you using driving and swords, or what? It's a combination.
Yeah, why not?
We'll have you roll your attack roll with driving.
Yes, I will spend all 4 points of driving and get a 6.
6. So let me roll another d6. There does not dodge that. So I think you will catch him out, cut across him. I think he will fall close by the building, knocked to the ground by the motorcycle as you move past. And I think that there is that moment where we see that sheet of flame go up on the side of the house and then come crashing down on top of him. And it is an absolute madhouse. How is it that you all get out of here without being killed or arrested?
Think. Can we step through that door in the basement? Like, kind of go back down quickly there, step into Faye, and then step back out by the Wainwright stuff, or you by the I forget
Absolutely, you can
yeah.
rush your way towards that. Richard, are you following?
Yes, in
Okay.
it together. I think you know, we saw what happened to Whitewood when he split from the group.
Wilford?
I am prepared to follow, but I will be carrying Whitewood's body.
Okay. So I think there is that rush where you will get to the door and like you can see the flames. You can't get to it because the flames are blowing up. And then I think you will see the flames part and the door open and you will see Oberon. And he will say, "Step through, all of you. I have matters to attend to here." And Cutter will lead you through and then around, and you will find yourselves at the Rollright Stones. And you are miles away from where you were. But I think maybe we see a glow in the distant horizon. So what is our last scene of this arc for Richard?
I think it is at the Whitewood estate and the good lady Whitewood bringing in a young boy. Oh, I don't know, that'd be a bit of a time skip. He's only a baby at the moment, isn't he? Sorry.
Right. And actually, I want to leave them off the table for the moment.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. For Richard, then I think it is a rather large order with the bookshop in it is a delivery from that bookshop in London with the slimy guy.
From Chessover. Okay.
Like two big, like, you know, packages of books being delivered from Chessover Books and signed for by Pascal. And coming into Richard's room and just having these tomes all spread out around the room, and Richard, you know, poring over them all. And yeah, Richard's just, you know, dedicating himself more to learning more of the older ways, not perhaps the arts of magic as they learned, but the things that the ghouls whispered to him in the dark.
And Wilford, what about you?
I think you see the good doctor's Arthur's funeral, and maybe my friends are gathered there or not. But I'm at the back, you know, in my tramp garb, so I won't be at the funeral. But so the priest is saying his words, and I think then you see me just at dusk. And I'm stood by the newly turned earth, and you see me sort of pulling away at the newly sort of earth, and I'm burying the doctor's microscope with him. You'll need this, my friend, on your travels, and you will be sorely missed. You will indeed. But your request, it will be carried out, and I will avenge you now and forevermore, my friend. And I think you see Wilfred sort of crying a bit as he's putting the soil over this microscope and pressing it down so it looks sort of untouched for the groundsman in the morning.
Isabella?
I don't know if I can get away with this, but my preference should be that I'm on the train to London with Cutter sitting next to me.
I think that seems fair. That's a fair boon for what you all have done.
And I will say, I think you'll like my father. He was a very good father. It's like, you'll be able to learn magic, but not the dangerous kind unless you want to. It's just the kind that takes a good eye for what people want to see.
And I think there is that him looking out the window, just being sort of wide-eyed as we see London come into view. And Dr. Whitewood, what is the legacy? What is the bit we want to see for you, for your family, for whatnot here at the end?
Yeah, well, I am quite keen to start Series 3 at his memorial service, but I think for now, we see a figure at the corner of opposite Whitewood's house. And it's a figure watching, we're looking over his shoulder, and then he turns, it's got his name, Mr. Brothers, who smiles and walks away.
Absolutely. We will figure out at the start of next series what the fate is of Lady Whitewood, of the child, of the maid, of our additional friends who are tangled up in that, of course, Annabelle Gray and our young
Edgar Morse.
Yes. What has gone on with him? There are a number of figures that are there that we will explore the story of, and that is our series. Thank you so much. Stars around. Richard.
I mean, going off to save the future, the perhaps at this point future king, is quite an act of insanity, which fits very well with Dr. Whitewood, and yet you got to consecrate yourself to the Black Pharaoh anyways. And I am glad that you did do something magical to bring down the entire castle, because I have spent the entire session pouring through the grimoire, looking for spells that would be equivalent to a small level nuke, like something like that, and failing to find.
I figure the soul of a knight of Albion expending itself is equivalent.
Yeah. I was looking for things that were a little bit less. I do the bidding of Nyarlathotep, Grimaldi, I really enjoyed the idea of the stage magics, the fireworks and performance and everything, and I really enjoyed the speaking to the boy in the play. That was a good callback to because that was one of those side characters that I really enjoyed when we first encountered them, and then it slipped out of my memory until you said it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a beautiful moment. And Wilfred, I mean, I was really glad as well that you just charged headlong into trying to save Dr. Whitewood, because I was in one of those moments where, I got caught up in that. As a player, I don't want to interfere with Whitewood's sacrifice, right? But I want to see that play out more. But then Wilfred, I think, is much more that was much more dramatically appropriate, like running straight forward. I look forward to him carrying Whitewood's torch into the future. And getting the commies involved.
Yeah.
Great, because I've been. One of the big things was we need muscle, we need manpower and everything. And at one point, we could perhaps have relied upon Whitewood's reputation to have brought in Scotland Yard into such a thing, but instead, all those bridges were long burned.
Yeah, I imagine there is a shot here also of Jessup like ruefully looking over reports of what happened, and maybe regretfully he's at the ceremony flashing back he didn't act fast enough to save his friend.
Oh, and I think one little addition to my last scene was Eddie the Mouth Trent's newspaper, where I think did he give his name? It just said he was a journalist.
Yeah,
there's one of his stories like laid out on a table with royals in fascist royals. Like
he's
like
got to work for the Daily Worker, hasn't he?
Daily Worker. I think he works for the Scoop. having which I think is the Master Nyarlathotep newspaper. But yeah, and obviously Lowell, to you for the whole series. I mean, over this series, I've really enjoyed the chance to do more magic, to use that in more things. It's interesting trying to work out the way magic works in the Cthulhu stuff versus the way it works in Faithful Symmetries, and making those two things go together. And I think I enjoyed how you've mixed in the mythos with that Wordsworthy type stuff. I don't know how much of that is in the book, but I liked, obviously, I know the Lizard Man is in the book, but the rest of it, who knows? The Shan appearing at the end, that was particularly good.
Yeah, it's my callback to the lake. So
great series. I love all of it. I am determined when we play more of it, I am going to get that stability point below 0.
Yes.
I have maxed out, but yeah.
Wilford.
Let's start with you, Lowell. Great GM and throughout, really enjoyable story. Really very, very good final session. Really well staged, very descriptive. Really enjoyed it. Sherry, I love that stage magic setup. Started quite small with a few shots and then went to full explosion. Really, really good. And I think the scene, using that down to back up Richard, I thought was very good, and it shows, all four of us work really well as a team. I feel as players. And as characters, even if the good doctor wasn't there, but really, really good. Richard, for Will, when I said somebody needs to go in there and convince them, I knew it wasn't really my character's traits, but you leapt on it, and that was really, really good, and you had my backing up there. And Alan, madness abounds. You didn't. A really good sacrifice, I thought, and it was needed. And I think that just goes to reiterate, in a LOL game, never wander around by yourself. Always at least go in pairs.
Fair enough.
Yeah, really, really good. Across the board from everybody. Really enjoyed the series.
Awesome. Isabella?
Well, everything that everyone said, of course. For you, Lowell, you brought a lot of pieces back together, and that was satisfying. A lot of things that I worry about, that I think about all the time, because I think about this campaign a lot. There's just so many good things here. So it was nice, and thank you for giving me Cutter. That's excellent. I think that Dr. Whitewood went out in the best way possible, and also the most impressive way possible. The great tree conflagration is how do you say, that is one heck of an exit. Should we all be so brilliant in our leave taking? It was excellent. You played him so well, a man who went down the wrong path for all the right reasons, and and manically so. It was really good. It was kind of, I never knew where you were going to go, and I loved every moment of it. Paul, of course, Wilford remains, what do you say? The backbone and the heart and the strong arms of the group. I think Richard and I are just sort of decoration in some ways. So there you go. But no, so good. Every step, every choice, just exactly to character and exactly what we all needed to do what we needed to do. It was wonderful and good play. And I keep learning so much about this period in England that I wouldn't have otherwise. So that's cool too. And Will, your Richard Fraser is exactly the hero that you want to read about, the one who's sort of charging to his doom, but in a really smart way and in a really, like, you can see why he's so enthusiastic about what he's doing and you're worried about him the whole time. That's it. I'm worried for Richard. So there you go. But I'm just so good. And everything he does, I cannot deny that he is effective at every moment when he does a thing. It is so good. Just really, really, really lovely. That's
Awesome. Dr. Whitewood.
Yes, I mean, I'd endorse all of that. I thought you paced that brilliantly. We got, I like the idea of, almost starting in media res and then using, preparedness to kind of fill in some gaps. I thought it was a clever way to do it because we could have hung about on the edge of that estate for an hour and a half. Worried about what we're going to do. So I thought it was well done. I loved, what did you put in the chat? The cultists of Cable Street. Look up the Battle of Cable Street if you're watching this and don't know what it is. I love the idea that we found some muscle and that they were the Communist Party of Great Britain. They were fascists. Of course they were the Communist Party of Great Britain. I enjoyed seeing the events in the basement in the ritual room. I thought that was a really smart suggestion from you, Paul, to convince them that they were in danger. Because having seen one of them go down, I'm not sure I fancied your chances if all three of them had stayed. Though we did it, I think we did in the end see two of the three taken out. I enjoyed, Isabella, the whole callback to the Fae. I have to say, Lowell, my jaw dropped when it turned out to be Titania. I was not in a million miles expecting that. That was really, really impressive to get that to kind of to tie up some of those edges and then calling Oberon to sort out his marital difficulties. I think was equally good. And at the end there, when you come across Whitewood writhing on the ground, I was genuinely not certain whether Richard would kill him, or Wilford would save him. And I think it was Paul's quick reactions, because I think Richard might well have thought, I think he's crossed the line here. And in that respect, Portmore saying, even Portmore thinks that Albion's more important than all of that Elder God stuff. So I think, I think that Portmore and Fraser may be two sides of the same coin. Don't know, but
says the man who just, gave Albion up to Nyarlathotep.
Well, indeed, far be it for me to throw stones. But no, I've enjoyed this a lot. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
I mean, I've got a slightly sore cheek because I've been grinning all the way through today.
I do like your idea about starting the series 3 at Whitewood's Memorial, of having that as our kind of at least the touch point. We may then go, X months later or whatnot. But I think that's a good reference point to anchor when we go next.
It would be a good place to bring anyone that you want, as NPCs.
Absolutely. And you have to think about, do you already have in your head who you want to run next?
I've been giving some thought to Annabelle Gray and to Edgar.
There's some
but
good characters there.
there
Could
are.
run
There are.
Jessup.
So no, I'll give that some
Okay.
thought.
All right. This has been great. I really love the series. I'm so glad we were able to come back to it. I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been fun to see the rise kind of in more and more magic on the table. To get the call back to like the end bit from the first season with Tatiana and Portmore, to see that weapon fear come back, the companion to austerity that had been mentioned as a thing that had been stolen, and so I felt I was very happy with it all. So and good adventures throughout. Great play from all of you. Tyler's been listening to the episodes and enjoying it immensely. So so that's good.
Oh, shout out to Tyler.
Yes, absolutely. So and thank you to Steve Dempsey for putting this campaign together and publishing it. So awesome. I'm going to stop the recording.